think we're settled in, and we'll call the meeting to order, 7:08. Welcome, everyone. And we have public comments, or agenda amendments. Let's do agenda amendments. I know we have one. So we have only one.
We have a student presentation.
Okay, yeah.
And I will have contract issue for that we're for a finding to see if it's appropriate for executive session.
Okay.
I could ask for that in my superintendent's report
Okay,
section.
yep. Okay, very good. Thank you. Public comments. Do we have any public that would like to comment? You good? You good for now? Thank you. All right, I guess that brings us right up to our student presentation.
So tonight we have with us Riley Fadden-Dupree and Norm Broderick, and they're both 10th grade students, and they're going to speak with you tonight about our use of independent reading, which is a practice that we've embraced pretty wholeheartly over the past 2 years. So they're going to talk about their experience with it, and yeah, I'll let them talk. Hopefully we can.
So my name is Riley Fadden-Dupree.
My name's Lauren Broderick.
And we came in today to talk to you about independent reading. We are both in 10th grade. I'm a part of sports here. I play soccer, softball, and basketball. I'm also part of student council and currently applying for the National Honor Society.
I play field hockey and I'm also part of student council.
Independent reading is when students get to choose and read a book of their choice. Usually students get to choose whatever genre they want to make it more interesting for them. Reasons we like independent reading more is because it allows a person to stay away from electronics, and it gets someone to use their imagination and to get away from the real world. It also improves lexile scores for many individuals. The more you read, the better you get, and the volume of the reading is critical.
When students are able to choose their own books, they are more likely to want to read. For example, usually when we pick out our own books, we are more engaged with the reading and not during the 20 minutes we read in class.
When we're able to choose our own book, we are not given a deadline. We are able to read more and at the pace that we want to. And we're also given as much time as we need, and we don't have to have it due by a deadline.
Each student has a different lexile score. A lexile score is a numeric representation of an individual's reading ability or a text readability or difficulty. Reading on your own, you are able to choose whatever book you want and being able, whatever lexile is best for you. This can help you improve your reading.
And these are some popular books that students in my grade and 9th grade and high school are reading, which is The Hate You Give, Sight, Milk and Honey, and Unbroken. And that's all.
Have you read all four?
I have not.
I read The Hate You Give. That was it.
Thank you very much, ladies. Any other questions from the board?
Is there typically a certain number of books that at least you're encouraged to read? Or?
We're usually supposed to read at least one or two a semester, but this year I am not given a certain amount, but we are reading more in class and given class books to read.
You say you discourage electronics, but some of the reading can be done now on
Yes.
Kindle Fires or whatever. Do you discourage them using that and give them a hardcover book?
Yeah, because if you're using electronics, you're more tempted to go off the book and play games, go on social media, and do other things.
How does this relate to your writing skills? Is there a connection between independent reading and writing?
I think it can. By like reading more, it can help you like get more words and being able to like understand vocabulary, so you can be able to use that with your writing.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You know, it's had a big impact on how well kids have done in their reading. It's done tremendous.
All right. I guess we will have no student representative update this evening. So that brings us up to adopting the January 17th meeting minutes. I would entertain a motion to adopt the minutes from January 17th, 2019. Do I have that motion?
I'll make that motion.
Motion from Eric. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by John. Any questions? I did fill in the blanks at the end with the executive session times in and out and adjournment time. Those were not printed in, but I did fill those in. So,
Just pass them right over to her.
There should also be noted that there was no action taken after this meeting.
Right.
There was not, okay.
no action out of
Make a
executive
note of
session.
that.
Are there any other comments or concerns about the minutes?
Should John Lumsden be listed under administration instead of visitors?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Athletic director, so.
So you want to go under
Administration that was invited to the meeting.
Okay.
Anything else? Hearing none. All in favor of the motion to approve the January 17th meeting minutes, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries.
Do we know if anyone is using the video coverage? Do we get any feedback? I know did we buy a contract so that people that wanted to see the minutes could, that wanted to see more than just the written word could go there and view them?
I haven't heard anything.
I haven't heard anything either.
I've watched a couple of them.
Yes.
It'd be interesting to get
It
feedback.
would be interesting to find out how often they're viewed. I bet if we took them down, we'd hear about it.
I wonder if they can give us that.
I wonder if they can, I'll ask.
I'm not sure, because isn't it just put straight on YouTube?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if at that point if the station has any control over when they're
Can probably see how many views there are on
Right, on
YouTube.
YouTube,
Right.
And I don't know that somebody from Ohio or something's going to be looking at our local board.
You
meeting.
never know.
You never know. I
You never
know
know.
my husband seems to watch all of them. I don't know why.
Clearly a ratings booster for the station.
Oh yeah, we got these people in SWAT watching these all the time.
I'll check on that. It'll be interesting to see.
All right, that brings us up to facility update. And lucky for us, we happen to have Paul right here with us, who has all the answers.
Most of them. Yeah, so probably we'll start out with some of the capital renewal and work that needs to be happening around the building and stuff. So the paper that I handed out, we have our door security software, which operates our mag locks, our emergency lockdown system during an intruder invasion or something like this, our weekend access to the building and stuff. The hard drive crashed in the computer, and the program is a 2020 version, and they're not supporting the software or the hardware to that door anymore. So we've got that, and then we've got the fire extinguishers. We had the fire marshal that stopped in a few weeks ago, and we to inspect our hood for our final inspection for our Ansel system in it. And during the course of that, he noticed that there was not sufficient fire extinguishers in areas and stuff. So we had our fire extinguisher company come in to go by code and give us a list of what needed to be in the building to meet code. And so between those two items there, I've got some quotes, I'm going to be getting a couple more, is I'm looking for a motion not to exceed $50,000, and that would be coming out of capital renewal fund. We've got,
We could start with that if you'd like.
okay, you want to start with that?
Sure, I guess I would entertain that motion to allocate not to exceed $50,000 from capital renewal funds to address the door security system and the fire extinguisher issues.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Eric,
Second.
seconded by Greg. Now we can discuss that a little bit.
Either one.
So not to exceed.
So what are the quotes so far?
Well, we don't have 3 quotes, so
Well,
we weren't going to be talking the price on.
You're talking,
But-
so nothing on either the security system or the extinguishers there?
I do have quotes on both,
Okay.
but it's only a single quote.
Okay,
And
that's
that's,
fine.
I need to
Yeah.
get another one.
Okay.
That should be the range for
Right.
those two projects together.
Because we know it can be done for that price.
What budget would this be taken out of?
This would be out of the capital renewal fund.
Capital renewal.
So what type of equipment is for the fire extinguishers? I mean, is it literally just fire extinguishers, or is there?
There's
other-
fire extinguishers, cabinets, because some of the ones that are in the hallways need cabinets. There's like 48 cabinets that we need. There's,
Yeah, so how many, 48?
well, there's 48 cabinets. I think that there was a total of probably around 60 fire extinguishers. And then there was a couple special fire extinguishers.
That's as good as a cell phone.
That was, I apologize. I had the sound off, didn't care.
That seems like an awful lot of additional equipment for fire extinguishers. Is there new codes or?
What it is that is going to add up in the area of around 24,000, something like that. So no, it's actually to meet the NFP code, National Fire Protection Agency.
Since this is yet to go out, we haven't solicited
Right.
formal bids for this, we do want to be careful about the level of that conversation we had
Right.
in an open open session.
Yep. All right, is there any other discussion about that before we vote?
You talked about the kitchen exhaust system as well. So is that
So what that was
potential
is,
hardware there as well?
no, that was why the fire marshal actually was here, because we had an open permit on that system. It was installed a year ago, and the extinguisher company did not close that permit out. That's why he was here, closing the permit out.
Okay.
And we did a couple of strobe changes here in the library and things like this, and that's why I was here to check that out too.
What's that leave the capital renewal fund at?
So if you look at that whole sheet and you go all the way down to the bottom and eliminate the theater seating, that will leave $100,000 still in the capital renewal fund.
A little over.
Do you have money on that agreement?
A little bit, but not a lot.
So the motion at hand is to not exceed 50,000, so that would take a sizable chunk of it for sure.
Right.
But those are things that we really can't.
These are-
we can't put them off. We can't not do them. So
No, these two are actually life safety needs
yeah,
to the building.
yep. All right.
And if you delay them, you'll find more.
Yeah, that's a good
Can
point.
happen that way.
That's a good point. All right. If there's no further discussion, all in favor of that motion not to exceed 50,000 for the door security system and fire extinguisher issue, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it, motion carries.
Just trying to calculate a few other things
Right.
here.
Right. So we want to just keep going down the list? I can start
Yep, so
talking
we'll
about-
go down the list, and so I've handed out a picture of this is something similar to what we were talking about putting in. We've been talking about a new trophy case out in the E-Pod area for the past 4 years. We haven't found anything that was off the shelf that actually meet our needs and everything. So we found a cabinet maker that has made trophy cases for Enosburg and Richford schools. And so we had them give us an estimate of what it would cost to do that. And then we were looking at having PC Construction do it as a built-in, so it'll look like an actual part of the building over in off E11, just as you're walking in the doors down by the theater. So that would be a total price of not to exceed with both the trophy case and the built-in for $24,000.
How much is that for the installation?
That's the installations, everything's included in that.
No, but there's two different vendors.
Right.
So how much is the actual installation of it? I know you said 24 is the total.
Right.
I'm interested in how much of the materials, how much is the installation?
Well, we don't have another quote on it, that's why we weren't gonna
Okay.
actually break that out.
We don't necessarily have to get one, but we talked about today
No.
that it might be a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is to,
The only reason I'm asking, I've seen sometimes that installation is more expensive than it really should be. You want the highest quality, so you want your money in the product,
Right.
not in the guy that installs it.
Right.
And I'm just thinking PC Construction, great, but I'm just wondering if they are using up a large share of the cost, then I'm sure they're installers, independent installers. That's what I know they're on site. but-
Yeah, they will be doing the installation between the cabinet maker and PC Construction
So it's, the cabinet is delivered here
by the cabinet maker. And the frame will be pre-made by PC Construction.
so this is to replace this
They
existing
want to
one?
replace the one.
We have, well, this is just the one I kind of stuck in there, but we have 3 small ones right now. And we have them over on the other side of the theater over there. And so this way here, we'll have one that'll encompass everything that we need within it. Because this is actually 26 inches deep by 30 foot long. So it's going to be a substantial trophy case.
Is that we're running out of space?
What's that?
Is it that we're running out of space because we're winning so many trophies, or?
Well, maybe Jay can answer
I'd
that.
say a combination of the two. In fairness, this conversation was taking place as far back as the mid-'80s. And it kind of gains traction for a while, and it takes a back seat to something else of greater priority. It'll resurface again. This has been an ongoing conversation, as I said, for over 3 decades. At one time, we were actually talking about a built-in trophy case right in the hallway as you enter the gymnasium. And at that particular time, the conversation was to actually knock out that interior wall on F1 and slide it into there. Again, with adjustable shelving track lighting, which is what you're looking at here as well. So it's been an on-again, off-again conversation. The school has never really had what you would often see in other schools around the area of an actual trophy case, similar to what you're looking at here.
I guess I'm just trying to figure out if, this, like, if there was issues with it, as far as, like, need versus want. And, I mean, we haven't gotten to some other things. I just want to make sure, as far as priority, that if this was the last thing we talked about, then I'd probably be like, yeah, okay, we've taken care of a lot of things. I just want to make sure that, before we vote on anything, that we make sure more, things that have to get done are taken care of first. That's
I agree with John.
Yeah, I agree with that, because $24,000 seems like an awful lot of money for something like this.
I guess-
Or not to exceed. I mean,
I guess I would ask if it's doable. We have some really good tradesmen in the area. And I guess I would feel more comfortable if we had someone locally here to give us a quote on installing it, to see how it matches up with what you have.
Okay.
I realize it's a package, and I know everybody's busy, but I just would think that it might be, I mean, I have someone come to mind. I'm not going to take and do a recommendation here, but I'm sure you know people in the area. Some of the people through the tech center, right here, Northwest Tech Center. There are some very skilled young people who have graduated from that program. But something to think about if you've got the time to just try to see if we could get an idea about it.
Okay.
well,
And I don't mean somebody that's a roofer or outside
Right.
but a real craftsman.
That's what we're kind of looking for, is somebody that can actually do a craftsman install.
And I just want to make clear that, I'm looking down through the list and I see some other things that I think
Right.
I'd like to take care of first. So maybe,
Yeah.
We can
Maybe
rank them.
let's-
We can rank them after. Can't
yeah,
rank fire
so
safety.
let's not get hung up on that. I just want to make that comment before,
Okay.
we start, mind checking things off like we did with the first one.
Right,
Mhm.
right. The first one, we didn't have much of a choice.
That's right.
It
There's
was-
no
That's
ranking.
kind of mandatory, so I guess at this point, it sounds like we're ready to move on to the next item.
Okay.
We'll skip the motion part of it till we've heard the proposals and we'll go
Okay.
back.
So the next clump of three is the boys' locker room and girls' locker room. Especially the boys is a ceiling where it's always needing to be repaired. There's always damage to it for one reason or another, and we've gone through a lot of ceiling tiles. So working with PC Construction, we've talked with them about coming up with a heavier duty ceiling to go in where the boys' locker room is mainly. That's one of the biggest problems. And then re-sheetrocking the showers and the other coaching areas inside there and painting it, and then we'll have to readjust all the sprinklers when we do that. And then we're pricing out the girls at the same time because their ceiling is in rough shape too. And so we were looking at sheetrocking the ceilings in there.
So is it correct to assume that ceiling tiles is like removable, and we don't actually have to get access to the top then? Because you're proposing sheetrocking it over, so.
Well, we're going to be sheetrocking some of it in there. We do need access into the boys' locker room. So what we're looking at doing is there's an industrial T-grid that they can use to put in there, and they're going to be going with a different style tile entirely. So it's not like these soft tiles here where they get punched out pretty easily and stuff.
On that, I mean, I know earlier there were some ideas kicked around, but, I for one would like to see what it would cost to put on a higher grade ceiling, maybe something like that.
And these are just estimates. The product can change because the price is going to be pretty much the same. You start talking square footage of ceilings.
even if it costs 10% more, I'd like to see something maybe a little more durable, something that maybe when you hit it, it reflects and bounces back at you rather than
That would be nice.
through it.
I agree. Probably something that can be cleanable as well.
But it is, they're doing a lot with painted corrugated steel and things like this, and you see them in a lot of places that you go, so you know, we could go with a bright ceiling that is probably impervious to handprints and things like that. So we were looking at that kind of as a package for the ceilings, for both the girls and boys locker rooms, and the sprinkler heads that need to be replaced in them all, not to exceed $65,000. Then we have the theater seats. Did you,
Can we vote on the other one first?
Well,
or
let's get the
did you
options.
want to just hear about all the
Yeah,
rest of them?
let's get the
Hear
options.
about all
on.
of them then?
Okay, so then the third, the last one is theater seating. We've talked about this for years. We've never had the money to actually put into it and stuff, so we've been doing some quotes, and we actually have one seat right here that is from Hussey Seating that is pretty durable as far as it's got polymer top, polymer bottom. We ordered it with the different colors to see which color we'd like the best, and you can order them two-tone too. So we were kind of looking at that style that would meet our needs the best, because padded seats just won't work in the area. There's too many kids in there in the mornings, things like this. And something like that, if you check it out later or something like that, that's a very durable seat.
What's the life expectancy on that, Paul?
What's that?
What's the life expectancy?
I don't know, they didn't tell me the life expectancy onto it, but
Is there
I guess it depends on the type of use they get.
a warranty or no?
We haven't got that far in the discussion
Can you
yet.
find out where in Vermont they have those installed?
I don't know where they've got them installed. We're just starting to work. They were the ones that put in our bleachers in the gym. And so while we were talking about that, I asked them if they knew anybody that sold theater seats, and lo and behold, they had one, because we've called a lot of vendors over the years, and nobody really deals with theater seats up in this neck of the country for some reason.
Well, where do all the theaters get their seats from?
Well, there is theater seating, but it's more of a premium price,
Yeah.
and to get what we want, because all the actual theater seats, we can get theater seats, but they're all padded.
And they probably don't change them out very often.
People would never leave.
And
I like the idea of the fold up, because
Yeah.
if people do have to
it
cross.
gives you room and
you
stuff
can
like
stand up
that.
and, yeah.
There is some pluses to it for sure. And right now we have about 550 seats down in the theater. With this type of design, we can actually add more seats into our theater also. Did he say what the percentage more was or anything?
Well, given the fact that once we begin in there, everything would become ADA
Right.
compliant and up to 21st century code.
Yeah.
We'll be in that neighborhood again. We won't lose seats like we did in the gymnasium project, but we probably will not gain a lot, because we'd have to have spaces cleared out for wheelchairs. There would have to be, those seats are 20, I'm trying to remember if you said 23 inches across. The handles, if you're a larger individual, one of the things that we've talked about was getting a certain number of seats without arms, or arms that could be taken off or retractable.
I fit into it pretty comfortably. So.
What's that?
I fit into it pretty comfortably.
Oh, did you try it out already?
Yeah,
Okay.
fairly wide, so.
And they are wider. Our present seats are 19 inches.
Yeah. I know I'm pretty good size and I fit into it pretty easily.
Do you know anything about this company?
We do. That's actually where our bleachers came from and everything.
How long have they been around?
More bids are gonna have to.
Hussey's been around They were the ones that did our first
Up
bleachers.
in-
So their seating company that was started about 10 years ago, I believe, in the theater seating.
Yeah. I would just want to know, like, you know, how well established a company is, only because,
Right.
like, something like that is very customized,
Yeah.
you know, so they change models all the time.
Oh, right.
My concern would be making sure you can get replacements in the
Right.
future,
Yeah.
you know, when things happen and whatnot.
They-
All of
Company's
this
still
would be,
around, so we
yeah.
can-
So this is, we're just kind of in the research part of it right now, because, you know, we'll probably getting more quotes, because we're going to be talking a premium price on these.
All of these would require multiple bids, and the research and the reference checking, and are there schools that have these seats, or, you know, for all of these conversations, these are just preliminary estimates, and
And you'll probably struggle to get 3 estimates, 3 bids, because there aren't many.
you can
The
get
thing is, we'll try our best, and if we
Right.
can
Yeah.
send out 3 invitations to bid, and we don't get 2 back, well, I guess that's all we need to do. But we'll probably, something to that magnitude and stuff, we're probably gonna be advertising it in one of the builders' guides too.
that preliminarily would be about $130,000,
We'd be talking in the area of
$140,000.
$140,000.
Is that installed?
That's installed.
Again, preliminary.
How many seats did we replace that last time around when we did all the flooring?
I don't think we were
I thought
able
we
to
did. I
get.
thought we replaced a chunk.
No, we actually took some out because we gave a little bit more room right in front of the
Okay.
stage. And we've got a few seats that are out in the back and down in the back of the first row for their mixers and things like that they do when they're doing their theatrics down there.
So maybe that's what okay. So you probably took some out to replace some of the broken ones.
Right, and that's what we use them for.
Okay. Gotcha.
And so that's one that I just brought in to discuss. It's nothing that we're gonna actually make a motion on tonight.
So the projects of interest for tonight are the trophy case and then the locker room
Correct.
projects.
And so if we're looking at those, and we're looking at the amount of money in the capital renewal fund, with all these projects, there's still gonna be $100,000+ in the capital renewal fund.
Without the theater project.
Without the
Without the theater,
Right,
yeah.
right, without the theater project.
What's the next big project after this?
That's what I'm wondering. I mean, what are the things that are on the queues?
Well,
The surprise ones. We want to know the surprise ones.
Well, we got some that aren't surprises. We've talked about it over the years, is about putting an actual sewer line over to the ag building and the barn and stuff, because right now, we pump our sewage over there, over across, and it's just been there for a lot of years. I can't remember, when was the ag building put in the early 70s?
Yeah.
And so I got an idea that that 2-inch pipe is probably seen its better lifetime. So we were looking at actually putting a drain in the barn classroom and then hitching up with a manhole outside of the bathrooms and in the ag building so that everything can go into a manhole and feed across over here and a 8-inch pipe. Everything be gravity feed instead of being pumped. So,
Well, when I asked that question, I didn't really expect an answer.
okay, well, we just got to find, we just got to pick them out of the hat.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of things priced out.
You can go now.
Okay.
There's your trophy case, just one down the drain.
Yeah, there's always plenty to do, right?
There's just no end to it. You know?
Right, right.
Now you got a 50-year-old building.
You know, we got a parking lot that could be repaved, but we got some infrastructure things that we need to do first over to the ag building. So, these are all things that, you know, in the next 5 to 6 years are going to be coming up.
And we always talk about the roof. the roof
And
is-
well, the roof is one that's coming up. I'm starting this spring, I'm going to start to be doing the infrared analysis of the roof. I'm gonna probably in the fall of this year, I'll be writing the RFP to go out to bid for the roof project.
Wait till we get the new board.
What's that?
Wait till we get the new district board.
Oh, okay.
What about I know we talked about when it was part of the bond, but we talked about, you know, the work in the gym and making more space and all that. I know that we didn't end up doing, you know, moving forward with that. Was there
Right.
some variant of that you know, could be done to get some more space?
It would be great to have more space because I'm sure that you've all been down to the gym and you see that what we're doing now is if we're using the gym, we put everything into the weight room and kind of ship things around just depending on what the need is at the time. But yes, if we had actual storage for this stuff, it would be great. But when we priced it out to go with the bond vote, it came at a price higher than what we could afford with the
Right,
bond.
what was this?
I think it was almost $700,000.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
I think it was
beyond this.
Yeah, so it wasn't cheap,
Okay.
but we were actually talking, it was going to be like a heated area and stuff like that.
How well utilized is the weight room anyway? Because when I went to school, I mean, that thing wasn't used hardly at all.
Well, Jay can probably talk to a lot more, but there is a lot of classes in there, and I know that Scott Legaski does programs in there, and I know that special education does work in there and stuff like this, and
PE classes use it on a regular basis now. And as you know, we expanded that department by 1 instructor beginning this year that we're in now. It's also used by the Crossroads and After Hours program. Probably not utilized as much as we would like it to be by our athletic teams in the afternoon and in the evening, but we do have some teams that are going in, and as we move into the spring season, I'm anticipating that some of our programs will use it again. Track is usually a big one to use it as well, whether it be the indoor program in the winter months or the outdoor program in the spring of the year. So, you know, I know that John and Scott have spent a considerable amount of time procuring some new equipment in there, and they've cleaned it up, repainted it. It's a nice looking place now, and I think we're starting to see more and more people go down and use it even on an individual basis, and we are trying to encourage that as well. You know, faculty and staff can go down anytime they want after the school day.
I actually observed a phys ed teacher having a lesson in there, and they actually did a dance lesson. So a lot of the class, they kind of were able to break up, and a lot of the kids were out there playing field hockey, or I'm sorry, floor hockey. And a lot of other players who didn't want to do that unit came in and they actually did like an individual dance unit, and it was actually a really, really good lesson. Got some of those kids that just weren't interested in participating in that and might be sitting on the sidelines, but got them up being active inside there. So they were able to move everything off to the side and have a space in the middle, which is kind of what they were after all along, was just additional space to be able to do something along that line. So.
No, that's good to, it's good to hear that it's being utilized, because, I mean, if it's one of them things, that would be a good place for storage.
Right.
If it wasn't being utilized, in that way, but, I mean, if there's a need, then it's.
Real quick, I was just thinking, so looking at doing ceiling work in those locker rooms, are there things that also need to be done in those locker rooms while we're in there?
There is. That's what we've been talking about, we've been looking at. It's just we weren't sure until Laura and Becky and I talked today how much money was there, because the reality is, yes, the girls' locker room needs some enhancement, the boys' locker room does. The girls' locker room only has one toilet in it for all the kids that are using that, and the showers, the way that they're designed and stuff, are not private. kids don't use them right now. And we're talking about having the showers so that they have individual privacy for using them. And the same thing with over in the boys' locker room. The way they're set up is even worse than the girls, because the way the toilets are set up, if you're going over into the coaching area, you've got to go through the toilets to get there and stuff. So it's just not, it wasn't a well thought out plan when it was put in. So
It was
there-
almost military, type
yeah,
thing.
well, it was some of the mindset, I think, during that time back in the 60s.
Well, I guess, I mean, that's probably nothing that can be taken care of with, capital reserve funds, but I mean, are there...
Well, it could be, because that would be an actual need.
But I mean, as far as price-wise,
This is
is
the
that
price.
is that
Well,
stuff you're
we
talking
don't
about?
know.
My thought
I
is,
thought
right,
this was a remodel, Paul, when we talked earlier, this 63,000 for the locker rooms was,
Right. And that's, that was for the ceilings and stuff like that I was talking about. But we came up afterwards with, was that what?
when we were meeting, I had asked you about, I thought that was a pretty thorough remodel.
Okay. Well, that was just for the ceilings and things.
Okay.
Because
And the sprinkler system.
then we ended up putting new heat and air conditioning in there, because the heat with they were just heating units in there, and what happened is they were always collecting moisture down there. And if you looked at the units, one of them actually rotted apart and just about fell off the ceiling. And so in the boys' locker room, we actually only have one little one in there right now. So we purchased 3 of them that are going to go in probably June sometime in the boys' locker room, and the same thing in the girls. So now what will happen is they're set up with drip pans, so we can actually heat and cool both those rooms and keep the humidity level down, so we don't have the dripping and stuff like that in that area.
But it sounds like you've already got the plan for the...
We've already, those are already on order, because we were already planning on that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's outside of
Yeah.
the
That's outside of
money
this.
that.
So Paul, I guess I thought originally that the number was for everything, but do you have a number for the other things, the bathroom expansion?
We
and
don't, we just started talking about this about a week and a half ago, and I haven't gotten the contractors back to give us an estimate of what this would cost. So we're working on that right now.
yeah, I guess my thoughts are that, like what we did with the gym, once we got in there, we decided to do the whole thing because we were there.
Right.
Now, I'm looking at the trophy case project and thinking, well, maybe we can put that one off for another 20 or 30 years. and put that,
Works for me.
put that money in
And we very well could, and then,
and focus more on the locker rooms
and so we'll get some prices onto that, and then we can kind of go from there, because I know that there's still 100,000 left in the capital renewal, but I need to have some very accurate prices before we,
Yeah.
because then we're gonna have to get 3 bids after, 2 more bids afterwards.
right.
So a lot of it's timing, and it might not happen by July 1st.
If you're having moisture problems now, they're not using the showers. If you fix the showers, they do use them.
Right.
You're gonna have to update the ventilation, or everything's gonna mold
Right,
and start all
there's-
over. So, just food for thought.
Yeah, because they were probably adequate at the time, I guess, but that was 40 years ago, and they're just not adequate anymore.
I like what Dennis is saying, because I think that we need a number to do this and do this right. And then we can look, because as far as the cabinet, I mean, this board's gonna be here through June. I mean, no matter what happens in the next few weeks, we're still gonna have a board. And something like a trophy case, you can pretty much decide tonight, you're gonna order it, and get a commitment from the guy, and get it delivered whenever you're ready to put it in.
Right.
Some, these things like this, we really need to move forward on, so.
Yeah, I mean, we just, redid the gym. It looks pretty. And
Yeah,
then,
It does, and
Then all the athletes go into the locker rooms.
well, it is, and I don't know if you've been in there, You know, we can paint them all we want, but they're just, you know, they're old vintage locker rooms. They're really showing their age.
And that's probably part of the reason why kids abuse them, is because they look
Probably,
abused.
you know. I'm always a firm believer if you have nice things, that they'll respect nice things. But
That's true.
We can
not
More so.
always is
We
that
can-
the
right, we
case,
can
but
hope.
we try.
More so.
So I think at this point, probably we don't need a motion. I think just direction for Paul to focus his energy more towards the locker rooms and come up with,
So that 65K for the boys' locker and girls' locker, we're going to take that right off for right now until we can look at it as a total project.
Right.
That makes
Yeah.
sense.
So without that, after the door project that we've addressed
Right.
and the fire extinguisher, there's 186,000.
Okay. And that's a good chunk of change to work with.
I would hope not to use it all in those two locker rooms, but,
No.
but we'll see. Right.
145.
Yeah.
Figure out what we need
Okay.
and to do the job right, and then we'll go from there.
And then we'll table the trophy case to another year.
No?
Another day.
Another day.
Another day?
Another
All
day.
right. So we'll bring it back when we bring the other quotes back and we kind of look at it as a package.
Another thing was, as far as the theater seating goes, I mean, that's a pretty hefty price tag as well. And that's needed as well. Not as much as the other things, obviously, but there was a discussion a while back, and I don't know, it's a discussion I had with Vicky, our other board member. She had mentioned things about grants available out there from like Broadway
For
grants
the arts. Yeah.
and through the fine arts and lots of those types of things. And, you know, we've got a pretty strong history here with music teachers and drama and students that have actually, you know, gone to Broadway and they've been in movies and, you know, nominated for Grammys and all kinds of things where I don't know if there's somebody that would be good with putting some sort of package together with the rich history that we've had in the fine arts and see what's out there for grants. We might be surprised as to what we come up with.
Do we have anybody at central office that researches grants?
Not as a particular job, but I'd be happy to speak with Vicky to get some ideas, if she has some directions for us, and then we can see what's involved.
Because we hear about local grants and things like this, but grants like that, we don't really have access to very readily.
Paul, did you give us a dollar figure for what each chair would cost installed?
I don't know if we want to talk about
No,
that.
I just want to, you know, I have some ideas on how we're going to get those chairs, but I just want to know, you know, is each chair installed $300 or $200, or do you have any?
Maybe I'll send you an email tomorrow.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
$250.
Maybe we have an alumnus that made it big in the theater arts that would love to have a chair's name for
There
it.
you go.
Never know.
With a big star on the back and the name.
That's right.
So,
Stranger things have happened.
I guess we're pretty well set for the paper I had. So the motions both passed on the doors and the fire extinguishers.
Yep.
And the rest of the stuff we're going to be working on. And so the next thing comes up is the bond project. So where we are in the process right now is they ended up pushing the bid due date back a week because contractors didn't have enough time to get thorough quotes, things like this. So they've got the bids were due on the 14th?
Yep.
And they've reviewed them. They've interviewed the excavating contractors and the concrete contractors. Dan and I were involved yesterday in interviewing the electricians and the mechanical companies. And so we've got some very good contractors that bid on the project, and what's going to be happening is we'll be, Dan and I'll be meeting with them on the 8th to go over who they think is the right contractor for the project and stuff, and who can do the project in time. Because this is a very time-oriented project. And so what's we're looking at doing is, once we have that information, we need to bring that back to the board so the board can
Essentially give the green light.
Yep.
yeah, get the green light. Because what's going to happen is the board needs to sign a contract with DEW for not to exceed amount of what we're going to come up with on the 8th. And then that way there, we'll move forward with the project. They'll be the ones hiring the submitting contracts to their contractors and stuff. So what we'll need is, it'd be nice if we could have a quorum board meeting. Did we pick out the 11th or the 13th of March yet?
We did not.
We came close.
We narrowed it down to the 11th or the 13th.
I think we settled on the 11th.
That's fine. I
Right.
just said I couldn't make it.
John was the only one that couldn't make it on the 11th, but I think we're gonna have to make that sacrifice.
No problem.
And then, because the rest of the timing is going to happen really quickly, because once we do that, we're gonna, Dan and I will authorize DEW to go ahead and authorize contracts, and that's gonna happen on the 14th or 15th, because the lead time for the materials have to be ordered by the 21st to meet our project needs. So the March is going to be a kind of, the second week in March on, it's going to be a tight timeline for
Would
us.
it be a good idea, that meeting on the 11th, to have somebody here that's having oversight of the project? I can't imagine any questions, but it might be good.
I did already ask Tim Heinlein to be here at the meeting, and he said that's fine. Probably, maybe we'll get Tim and Jay Roger both to come.
Yeah, that would be good. Because Jay's going to be here every day, right?
Todd Poirier.
Todd Poyer's going to be here every day?
Yes, he'll be here every day, and then Tim Heinlein will be here a couple times a week as a project manager, and Jay will be here as needed afterwards.
Yeah, so Todd should be the one that should be here too.
Yeah.
That'd be good.
He's local, he's a smart guy.
Yeah, he is, so.
And so that's about all I have. Is there any questions on the timeline or anything with the project or anything else?
Always appreciate you helping us spend money.
Part of my job.
That's right.
That's right.
All right,
I guess
thanks a
we're
lot.
good.
Have a great evening.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
All right. Well, that was a lot.
It's a good discussion.
Yep.
Prioritization.
Financial update, next up. This is gonna start with check warrants. I do have check warrant report. I would entertain a motion to approve a check warrant for the dates January 12th to February 15th, 2019, in the amount of $281,319.27. Do I have that motion?
I'll make it.
Motion by John, do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Greg. All right, any discussion? For as much paper as there is involved, this is a smaller amount than I would have expected to see.
That's a good thing.
Yeah. I think it's good. It's always good to have a small amount. So if there's no further discussion, all in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it, motion carries. We'll circulate that for signatures. Laura did bring us some fun financial stuff, financial report, and next draft of our budget.
No significant changes really to the financial report. Projecting a carryover of a little under 100,000 right now, but nothing really noteworthy from your last draft.
It's a much smaller carryover than we've had in the last few years.
Yes, it is. We still have many of the department lines where we're yet to reduce. We are still encumbering the full amount right now, and as we work through the next few months, I think we'll start to reduce those lines if that's where we really are, but still a little early to do that.
It's just,
Am I the only board member sitting over here tonight? Probably Rob, you know. Guys over there, they spend money like it's going out of style.
And then just keeping in mind too that the 65,000, if there is carryover available, that $65,000 of this 98,000 has been earmarked for track improvements.
are there any questions on the financial report or on the next draft of the budget? Not a lot of changes in this new draft.
Eric, yeah, I think you were not in the finance committee meeting, so things that have been changed in that fiscal year 20 proposed column, I tried to bold so they stand out. But basically, under instructional programs, the vocational tuition, those two lines on the 568 and 569, the state has given us our 6-semester average FTE numbers to use, which is how that's calculated. So we've adjusted those. Those have come down a little bit from the last draft. Also, the going up a little bit from there, line 302 under instructional programs, the after-school program is now proposed to be a little bit, a few $1,000s less than the last draft. Those budgets have been reviewed. And then I think really the only other thing was on page 4, the guidance counselor salary line has been adjusted down to the actual proposed structure rather than what had been discussed a little while ago, which was adding. This is a full expenditure budget, and so no revenues are taken into account even with the assessments, which typically we would net assessments prior to assessing those to the schools, but this is preparing for a merged budget, which is the direction that we have gone in the last couple of months. If that changes, we can easily, I say easily, probably that's probably a strong word.
We will be able
we'll
to.
adjust it.
Any questions on that? And that's draft 5.
Yes, I'm sorry. Thank you, John, for pointing that out.
All right, I guess. Did you have anything else for us, Laura, or was that it? That was enough.
What's plenty?
Yeah, that was
It's
enough.
all right, you don't always have a big load.
Right. All right, I guess. If there's not, any questions of Laura? Well, we've got her here. All right. I guess you're free to go.
Free to do that, Laura. Thank you.
Thank you for being here. And that brings us up to administrator's report.
So on the night after our next board meeting, which is going to be on March 12th, MVU is going to be holding its annual sixth grade registration night. This is where we invite all current sixth grade students and their parents to MVU. In the evening, we actually begin around 6:30 in the Trahan Theater. There's a short presentation given by me where they kind of learn the ins and outs of the building, what the schedule might look like, what the structure looks like, what their day could look like. Following that, we break up by individual towns. They get to hear from some current students, a couple of kids from each team. And for some kids, it's their first time into the building. So we'll actually do until their step-up day in May. So it's the first time that they've actually been in MVU. So it's an exciting day. They had the class of 2023 orientation held on Thursday, January 24th. It's where the current 8th graders went up to meet the 9th grade teams. They heard from Jay and Jen and the guidance teams and what the structure is. They also had that evening some information about math and literacy presented. The parents were actually able to take home a high interest book, and there were some math games that were available and able to take some of those home as well. I think those were supplied through Title I funds. Yep. The Financial Literacy Day was held here at MVU on January 31st. It was quite an event. The business department and the FBLA, the Future Business Leaders of America, teamed up, and they actually held the event here, and it was quite an event. So those kids that were in those classes, I believe there was close to 60 to 70 of the kids. They had to go around to various vendors and talk to them. They kind of got a budget for a month and had to be able to live within their means. It was a wake-up call for many of them. My daughter was involved in it. It was quite a wake-up call for her to realize what she can and cannot live on, and how her lifestyle may change a little bit. So that's great. But we had about 45 volunteers from the community, representatives from People's Bank and all different various places that came in to help out with the day and kind of lead them through that. So it was great. On February 4th, we had a half-day in-service. We had a half-day for students, followed by a teacher in-service. It was kind of a district-wide in-service where our PE department got to meet with the PE teachers from the elementary schools, as well as others such as band and music, school counselors, librarians, SLPs, tech. We're all able to meet and help kind of coordinate what goes on. Back here at MVU, they actually took a look. A lot of the high school teachers that were not involved in this analyzed student data, student work, and actually followed through with some little bit of school-wide behavior data analysis in the afternoon. Math best practices have been held here the last 2 days, Wednesday, February 20th and Thursday, the 21st. Kathy Fendler from the Teachers Development Group began that. It begins with what's called a data snap, where a lot of teachers go on in, they observe them, and they get some immediate feedback from that. And we've been doing this math best practices work for probably 5 years. I think it's 5 years. The middle school phone update, I figured I presented this to you guys last January meeting. I figured I'd give you guys a little bit of an update. As of the writing of this, by Tuesday the 12th, 37 phones had been turned in to the middle school office, which kind of sounds like a lot, but it's not too bad. What I'm happy to say is, the highest we had was on the very first day. We had 8 the very first day, and I think it was the kids just kind of testing the limits. And then once they realized that all teachers were on board, it immediately started to dwindle. These days we have maybe 1 to 2 coming in per day, and the majority of them are kids that forgot them, that they left them on in their bag, and the other ones are they take them out to check the time, and it's just a learning thing for them, learning not to be able to do that. That's the great majority of them. The majority also, I think it was 19 out of the 37, were the result of a parent texting or calling their kid. So I do ask that question when they turn it in. Well, who the heck's calling you in the middle part of the day? Oh, my mom. Oh. Well, please let mom know not to do that. We do have a phone in the office where they can do that. And, so it's a little bit of educating the parents as well about it. But overall, just a couple of parents have had to come in for a second time. On a second offense, we do ask that a parent come on in. Parents have been very good about it. So it's gone fairly well. Anecdotally, I haven't really got the longitudinal data yet, a lot of it, but I would say that we are down in office discipline referrals about 35%. As a result of this. Teachers report an entirely different classroom environment. Wow. Yeah, and it's just how well it's gone. Seeing kids more engaged, not on their phones, not doing this, not doing that. So it's gone fairly well. So my hope is to kind of give you guys a little bit more By our next one, I'm not sure I'm going to have a whole lot more data for you, but certainly by the April one, I'll have a little bit more. I can compare a little bit more.
So this is only in middle school, right?
Yes, it is. Grade 7 and 8.
So this will gradually move up through the high school?
You can pretty much rest assured.
Have the high schoolers been better?
No.
No. Doesn't affect them.
I think some are a little bit more cautious because I think they can sort of see the handwriting on the wall. Looking ahead to next fall, we'll have 50% of the school already there, so it's not too hard to figure out where the other 50 are going to go.
And a lot of schools are going this way.
Yeah.
A lot of schools are. It's one of those, they're pushing the technology, whether it's the Chromebooks, it's the one-to-one devices, but at the same time, they're pulling away on phones, and they're really cracking down on phones, just because it's a major distraction. It's just a major, major distraction. So. And the last piece that we have is on January 31st and February 1st, close to 24 MVU high school students participated in the District Music Festival down at Milton. So congratulations to both Aaron Garso and Danielle Turner for having so many students involved in it. It's great. Any questions? Yes.
Question.
Yes, sir.
Probably it was after you wrote your report.
Yes.
Track and field did quite an outstanding job.
Yes, I did hear that. I don't know the exact numbers, but I think that nearly every single kid placed or received.
The young ladies.
Yep.
Won a
State title.
state title.
Yep. 4x1, 4x8. Yeah.
4x100 and 4x8.
Yeah, I think it's 4x100. Yeah. Yep. Did really well.
Does anybody know why Channel 3 is not carrying the high school scores? Most nights they're not on. Last night they ran the scores of 2 NHL games, kept flicking them back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.
I think overall you're finding it more and more difficult for the media in the Burlington area, whether it be the Burlington Free Press, which has predominantly been the paper of the state for how many generations, as well as for the television networks. I know we're contacted each year come tournament time. Can you call in your tournament games to whoever, whether it's Mike McEwen or somebody else. I will tell you, if you look at ABC on Channel 22 or Fox or Channel 5, you're more than likely to see a more accurate presentation of all high school scores than we will with Channel 3.
New York, Channel 5 pays attention to New York scores more than it does Vermont scores. And that's why I used to watch Channel 3 for their scores.
For whatever
they
reason.
used to run them as a scroll down the bottom, even though they didn't have clips of the game, that you can get this who won. And it comes on occasionally. They do have the scores on maybe 2 or 3 times a week. But
I would say it's much more sporadic than it used to be, and I know that in conversation with the sports department from the Free Press, two things are happening. Number one, they're understaffed in order to take the games and to take the scores, and number two is the amount of space allotted to them. And it could very well be the same situation for the visual media.
Well, the Free Press probably goes to press before the games are finished. The ones that are being shipped
A lot of
out.
those things, social media, get it out there faster than the Free Press ever could. So.
I can tell you from personal experience that the amount of information that the Free Press wants from any school that's calling in an athletic event continues to decrease each and every year.
The Messenger did a really nice job on the track and field.
Yes, they did.
The BFA student who runs your team here, and I thought that was really great coverage.
All right, thank you very much.
Well, I have one more question for Dan.
Sorry.
Are we still trying to get Albert and Sheldon 8th graders to come the next year? We're still going down there, and we still have a bus that serves both. direction.
Yes.
But they were also invited for that evening that Dan mentioned on the 24th.
Very good.
Yep, and there were
Did you have
a
much
couple
of
that
a
came.
response on them?
I don't know about individually. I didn't talk to them individually that evening, but I do know that there were a couple of students from, I think, each area, Alburg and Sheldon, that were here that evening.
And Jen can correct me, and she has before, but I believe we're headed back over to Sheldon after the February break for a registration evening.
I think when John Lumpkin's here, one of the things we talked about was keeping us posted on what might be happening with sports, athletes coming from, say, Enosburg, which were to participate in sports. I know the hockey season is about over, hopefully not too soon, but that to be something I'd just like to maybe make a note that we feel much just here as we get back into the next fall sports and winter sports, if anything's materializing on that. That would be really great for some of those students to participate, some of our stuff, and I think there's a bowling team out of Enosburg, some of our kids, so I just don't lose track of that.
Great.
Any other questions while we've got the administrators on the hot seat? All right. Thank you again. Julie, up to you.
So the first piece, whenever I write these things, and we're talking about Act 46, it's always different by the time we get to the meeting. But as you all know, we had the organizational meeting last night, and we began it, and we postponed that meeting, the rest of the business for that meeting, until March 21st at 7 o'clock in the Trahan Theater. And that was really focused on seeing what happens with the litigation and whether there's an injunction. So that's going to give us some time to do that. So we're going to want to make sure we don't have to re-warn the meeting, but we will advertise it so that folks from all three communities, should there not be an injunction, would participate in that meeting. And I have to tell you, I was really impressed. All of the communities that have had these meetings so far, whether in previous years, voluntary merger meetings, or even just since they've started up in February, typically maybe 30 people show up at those meetings. We had nearly 140 people here. So
That was just voters. So
that was just.
I think we had
extras.
We had more than that, yeah.
Yes, because we had about 136 voters, I think.
Yes, we did. There was
37.
137 voters checked in and 136 votes were cast. So, yep.
And we had Jim.
Yes, I was there.
Jim was there.
Jim was it.
Jim is not a voter, so he counted as 137.
So that's the update there. I did. This picture here is actually of the financial literacy night or event. It wasn't at night; it was during the day, and it was just. I was invited and observed that morning. There were about 40 community members that are the folks at those tables, and I just have to echo what Dan was saying. The kids who would come by the table and say, "What do you mean I'm going to have to think about childcare? What do you mean it costs that much money?" And the people in the community would say, "Oh, yes, you're going to need to budget for those things." And the table that had slips of paper that were upside down and students had to pick one, and it was sort of the life's unexpected things, like, I broke my leg. My out-of-pocket costs are going to be X this month. Those kinds of things, really, it was fascinating to hear students, and they all chose a career, so they had a different budget based on what their life circumstances would be. It was really interesting.
It sounds like the game of life that we play.
It really was a real live-action game of life. And we had students were able to have mock interviews with community members too. Terry O'Shea was one of them. And it was a great experience for students to actually practice those skills. And I do also, because I promised I would, want to highlight the fact that the MVU became a gold standard school for next generation personal finance. They're a nonprofit group because of the financial literacy work that happens here. So they've been recognized for these kinds of events. And I also wanted to point out that the Future Business Leaders of America are going to be going to a competition at Lake Maury in March. So they're actually doing some fundraising for that. And if anyone has any ideas of community members that might be interested in partnering or sponsoring or having fundraising ideas, Jen Savarsky, I think, would be the person to contact. With that.
Jessica is.
Jessica, yeah.
Jessica.
Did I say Jen or Jess?
You said Jen.
I said Jen, I meant Jessica.
You were looking at Jen.
Well, I can get you connected.
They have a good group of students that are going to go down. They do competitions in all kinds of ideas, whether it's, let's see, public speaking, web design, marketing, job interviewing skills, global business practices. And so it's a really good event. I know a couple of folks who have been through events like this, and the public speaking alone in the competitions really help them tremendously in their future post-high school experiences. So they're just a tremendous group of young people, and so I wanted to put in a little promotion for them. That's really all I did have in terms of the newsletter. I do have, when we get to the end of our meeting, I do have a contract issue that I want to ask for a finding to go into executive session when we get there. What did I do? Here we go.
All right. Any questions about any of that? Very enough. We'll move on. There's a new business item, and it doesn't sound like new business really because it's football, but it's last meeting we did talk about a budget. John Lumsden brought us a budget for a football season, and we decided to bring it back up at this meeting, and so here we are. The question, I guess, is what are we going to do with football? If the changes happen that we're planning, that sound like they're happening, that is with our consolidation, then it wouldn't fit right into the MVU ballot like it has for the last 4 years-ish. So there wouldn't be the same spot to put our football program as for voters to vote on. So I know last meeting we did talk about including it in the budget, and I guess having said that, I would open it up for thoughts from board members or administrators or anybody.
Well, since I was one of them that advocated it, I would ask that we not discuss it tonight because we don't have a full board. And I don't know how the 3 people that are absent would vote, but I think on something that critical would be important that we have a full board, which I guess we won't have, and John could call in.
And I guess as far as any timeline, urgency, until we know where we're heading with the budget, we don't have that urgency.
I do plan to make a motion at some point that we add the $10,000. I don't know if I can get a second on it, but I'm going to do it and ask for a vote. And that's because of the people in Swanton who have talked to me about it. And they've talked about it for 2, 3 or more years. I said I've been on the board 3 years, so probably 3 years. So I think that in a public meeting that we need to have that discussion. And I know for the people that were here back then, it was probably a really tough decision. But anyway, but I just as a courtesy, I think we'll discuss it, but I'd ask to hold off on a vote until we have a full board. And that might even mean April. I mean, there is no big hustle until we go after the 21st. Then there'll be a hustle.
Right. I mean, timeline
It's getting closer.
We're day to day with the timeline. It could change tomorrow, it could change 2 weeks from now, so.
Is that an issue, Julie?
No, I mean, I think you have some space to figure out whether, it depends, I think, a lot as well, whether it's a merged budget with a larger athletic section of the budget, or whether it's an MVU-specific budget, because as Dennis mentioned, it was an MVU-specific ballot item that was always added. I also think it's important, while we're talking about it, to reference the fact that we're talking about it changing in terms of program to a JV program next year. So it's not quite the same program that we had before.
Right sizing it.
Yeah,
Wilton's favorite
right sizing
phrase.
the program.
Right sizing it.
I guess my understanding though is that, should the transitional board take effect,
Mhm.
then MVU needs to provide the budget to them.
Mhm.
Now, is there a date that needs to happen for the transition board to, get all of their information, taken care of, or can that be done the last minute of what?
Well, the transition board would not be, they'd be the board preparing the budget, but
Yep.
they would not adopt it.
I understand.
So they would prepare it and then warn a vote
Right.
for a new board, and they would be elected 30 days later, and then they would warn a vote on the budget. So end of May at the earliest, should we not have a delay. So that gives you some time, and certainly the MVU members on the transition board can carry the intent of this body to those
Is
discussions.
the transition board 9 members?
The transition board is 8.
2 from each board.
And so MVU has 2 members too, the
Yeah.
clerk and the chair.
John and Doug's.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, I guess as long as, there's time,
Yeah.
to be able to make a decision. That's all I'm wondering is, as far as how the events would unfold, if that,
Yes.
obviously, if that goes away, then, we still have, we can still do it at the MBU level. But I just want to make sure that, whatever, we're not impacting their
Right,
responsibilities.
My understanding is that once we have our organizational meeting, maybe in a month, then there will be a certain amount of time before we can move to that election of more permanent board members. Then after that amount of time that we have that vote, then it will be warned again. It'll be another 30 days after that before they can warn a vote on a budget. So we're looking at least 3 months. Yeah.
Yeah, but I know that if I was on those boards, I wouldn't want.
Well, you
things
are.
Like,
Constantly
changing on.
If you were.
I would like a package, like, here's what we recommend.
Right,
Yeah.
Yep.
right.
And not
That's
just,
right.
oh, with this one caveat.
That's right, we're
That's-
gonna throw
that's what
one
I
more
don't
in,
want to
right.
Yeah,
Pass
absolutely.
pass along to the next board.
But we certainly should be good for another month. What's gonna change another month, I guess, we can hope that we'll have everyone here. We know John won't be here, so.
They could cast an absentee ballot.
And maybe we can have him call in. We'll have to see if that's a possibility. And we'll see what kind of discussions or what kind of issues we have.
Well, there's no guarantee that everyone's going to be here for that.
Well, right, right,
We have
exactly.
3 people missing right now, so.
It's certainly an off day. It's not our 3rd Thursday of the month, so might be other people have conflicts. So, all right. I certainly don't mind. I think we're okay putting it off for a month. Well, and our next meeting's not a month either. Our next
Just
meeting,
a few weeks.
yeah.
What do you guys think down there?
What do you think, Greg? Is
What's
it
that?
something we should act on soon, or do you think it's? I guess that's our discussion right now. Do we put it off till the next meeting, or do we?
On the football
On the
issue, I
football.
think we should put it off.
Okay.
I
Okay with that,
agree.
Mark?
I think it's an important enough issue, so everybody should have their say. even if John wants to leave his say,
Yeah,
he can certainly insert whatever information or questions he has, but I
okay,
think that it's important enough that we should all be here.
okay, fair enough. Next meeting, we'll revisit it.
Well, how many times revisit it if we can't get everybody here?
All right, well, that's
We gotta
it.
kind of set a deadline.
There will be a
We gotta
deadline.
Have an action.
There
Right
will,
about that.
there will be a deadline now, and so our next meeting is going to be the
The 11th.
11th
March
of March, and then we probably won't meet again until April, probably regular time in April.
Third.
Would be
Julie,
interesting.
would it be appropriate for Julie to send out an email saying that the issue was tabled tonight because, we only had 2/3 of the board, but it will be on the March 11th, and we'd ask everybody to
Try and get there.
try and make an effort to,
Yep.
if you can't be here, at least weigh in to Dennis or somebody.
Yeah, I
Right,
think that's a
right.
great idea,
Yep,
just to
I
even,
agree.
if you're not
If
able to
somebody says,
vote.
I really don't want it, then Dennis should know that, whether they're here or not, or
Right.
if they say, I wouldn't make the motion, but I probably would support
Then
it,
we
so we get
can't,
an idea.
right, we can't have that kind of discussion through email because that wouldn't be
No, but they
appropriate,
could,
They can individually reach
certainly,
out to you.
Yeah.
One-on-one's okay.
Mhm.
So it's the 21st
Yep.
altogether, and it's now the 11th?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you.
We were gonna tell you that on the afternoon of the 11th.
Yeah, try to be here.
Okay, so we'll do that for football. Our next meeting dates, which we are gonna announce right now, I believe Franklin Northwest Board will meet on the 6th. I haven't heard any talk of changing that. March 6th, 6:30 in Swanton. And then our next MVU meeting will be March 11th, right here, at 7 o'clock. And now, I guess, that we will discuss the executive session issue. Is there, I think you're definitely justified going executive session for that contract issue.
It's for an individual contract discussion.
Yeah.
The board needs to be made aware of. But we'd just be looking for a finding that it belongs in executive session and then a motion to go in.
Right, so I think that definitely would, premature public knowledge would clearly place the board or other party at substantial disadvantage, so I believe that it definitely would qualify there. And is that our only
Are
issue?
you looking for a motion to go to?
Is that the only issue?
Yes, it is.
If that's what you're waiting for, I'll make it.
All right, so we've got a motion by Greg. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mark. To enter executive session for a contract issue, and we're going to invite Julie and the whole administrative team.
No, maybe Jay would want to know how it has worked. It's a grievance issue.
Yeah, and I think Mark is also interested in personnel.
Yep.
Which will, I think also
Okay.
is- Yep. We're not-
Mr. Chairman, we have somebody sitting behind us.
You were so quiet back there, okay. We're not going to vote on it right now, we're gonna slow that one down.
Come right up here, come right up
I
here.
apologize for that, Jim.
If it is, it'll come.
So before we vote on going into executive session, we've got a guest, Jim Sullivan with us here, and we would invite him to.
Just a couple of updates with the ag. I don't know if you guys have been watching the video in the barn.
No.
Has anybody watched the video? Seen the donkey
Heard
barn?
about
You
it.
saw the donkey barn?
Yes, I had
Did
it
you
up
see
at
it born?
No, but I had it up on work the other day. So
Did you
we could maybe get them
see
all up.
the goats born?
No, I didn't know there were goats.
There's, the goat had triplets.
Oh, wow.
2 weeks ago.
Ah,
2 weeks ago, they had triplet goats. The donkey, I believe, is a month old now, maybe 5 weeks. So that you could catch the triplets on the camera. They've moved the donkey where the goats were and moved the goat in where the donkey was. So you can go on and watch the goats.
She's gonna adopt the donkey. She's gonna adopt the donkey.
So cute.
Now, is the
You'll have
donkey
to
quite a
talk.
lot, is the donkey quite a lot bigger than the goats? Must be, the goats are.
The
goats are
donkey, I was just there yesterday, 'cause I went over before we came to the meeting. The little baby donkey is half the size of his mother right now. He
Wow, they
is
go fast.
big.
Yeah.
He is big. The goats
Yeah, goats
are this big.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, like I say, she must have had a heck of a time. I guess, I don't know if it's common for triplets with goats, but she must have had a heck of a time.
Twins are common, but
Um,
triplets, I think, are pretty
So,
rare.
yeah, there's 3
Yeah.
little baby goats. I guess one of them is named after Mr. Macy, little Jimmy. Ron wants to bring it home, and Jim will not let her bring it home.
So they're
Yes,
all-
Allie Reed is the person that owns the goats. They live up here on the front of the road. Yes, the goats belong to her. She has a little herd. So she donated them for the kids to use at the school,
Nice.
you know, and so everybody can learn with the donkeys and stuff. And, I mean, the goats.
Yeah.
But, yeah, the donkey belongs to Richard. Richard Flint.
So all the babies are doing well.
They're all doing good. Like I say, that little male donkey, he's big. He's half the size of his mother, and he runs up and down the aisles, skidding around. The other thing is, Mr. Mish, told me that I think all his students in his ag class are signed up in the FFA. So the FFA is up
Wow.
considerably for student
Participation.
participation.
Good
Yeah.
enrollment. That's good.
Great.
What else? It's pretty much, you know, I just wanted to make sure everybody take a peek at, you know, that animals running around in the barn.
Now, it's getting to be that time of year for thinking about sugaring. Do they have any thoughts or plans?
As far as I know right now, he hasn't even tapped.
Yeah.
He hasn't done
I don't
any
think he's
tapping.
missed much.
I think the sugar house is still an issue about using. They were talking about doing a little addition to make it a little bigger so he could use it, but that never has been done. Like I say, I don't know if there's going to be any discussion about a sugar house. I mean, that was his big thing, and that's been an issue as far as going. But yeah, so everything is going good.
Good.
I did talk with Mark. He is very happy this year. He's having a lot of student participate. You know, he's very excited the way his year is going. Mr. Macy as well. You know, his classes are good. I
Good.
believe there's.
Well, Jen Sawyer, that's why we got her on the job, and she got it straightened out.
I don't know about that.
I believe we got 4 applicants for teacher for next year.
We had quite a few applicants, quite a few
Yeah,
strong
I
applicants.
heard about 4. I heard 3 are very good applicants, so
Good.
the possibility of a new teacher could be. And I say they've been working, Jen and administration. They've been doing a really good job. I believe a lot of our things that we were looking for are being met.
I think
mean-
Jen should be given one of those baby goats to take home for the
No, it's
Got a
thank
new
you,
house.
No.
Give
The
it
new
his own
house,
room.
that wouldn't be so good.
She has a daughter, Claire, who would love a baby goat.
I'll let her know that.
I was thinking sometime in March of having a meeting. I'm going to run some things past Jen and stuff, and emails and stuff, and just to bring up my committee members up to speed. I haven't talked to them since our last emails. So a lot has happened, you know, so I think we need to have a physical sit down. I'm thinking maybe second week of March. We'll see. I think we'll put out a thing and see who I can get come. But I think that's about it. Like I say, there's a lot of good things going on, and I'm very happy with things the way they're going.
On a
Always good to hear from you.
note, I don't know
It's
if I
good.
wanted to interject, but
Sure.
we got some wonderful little flyers at the central office about some sales that were going on,
Beef and
and all the
pork.
stuff from the
Actually,
ag.
2 of the pigs just went to slaughter the other day.
So I had a wonderful experience. So I did order some, and
Yeah.
I spoke with I believe her name is Journey.
Tierney, yes.
First, I spoke with this wonderful person, and she answered all my questions. She was very knowledgeable, got right back to me, and even came and brought me my order right away, got it all taken
Journey
care of. So it was
is-
very great to talk with her, and
Super.
we talked about dogs too.
I
So,
think Journey is
very
one
nice,
of the,
nice.
Journey and I think it's a Chevalier girl. They are really, really doing a lot over in the ag.
Yeah. But she was very good, answered everything, came right over and
Yeah,
it
they,
was a very good
Journey is the
experience.
one involved in a lot. They do make cheese over there and stuff, you know, with the goat milk and different things. And yeah, they've been doing a lot of things. I mean, if you got the time, you know, take time and walk over in there. They really, really doing a lot.
And I know the board does, but like I cited, but I think it's good, you know, not necessarily every month, but to get a direct update, so we're getting one story, and maybe it's not a story, maybe it's the truth, but I'm getting one set of facts, and it's coming in, and it gives us a chance to put a name to a face and say, is this working or is this not working?
Yeah, no.
And I think the communications with Jen and the others, it's been great. It seems like it used to be every month I heard a complaint, either here or outside of here. And now it's like, oh, they're really working together.
Things are doing good.
Kids
See-
are happy, and Jim and Mark are happy, and so that's great.
I think we're really, and I think that's what it needs. It's just the communication, and that's what it is. If we just communicate, and so everybody is on the same page, I think we can have things happen.
Cuts out a lot of rumors.
That's right.
Good. So executive session, do you need a motion, or you have
We've
it?
got the motion, so as soon as if we're all done, any questions for Jim while we got him here? Super. All right,
Thank you,
so
Jim.
the motion was to enter executive session. Thanks, Jim. And I guess we're probably ready to vote on that. So all in favor of entering executive session, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? You guys don't seem very excited about it. So the ayes have it. Motion carries. We're in at 8:44.